will be looking at the PointCentral version 9.5 release, which will be March the 16th of 2017. This will be an overview. Before we get started, of course, we have to go over the legal disclaimer, which is the information presented is confidential and proprietary to Calix Technology Incorporated, DBA, Calix Software, Calix. May not be disclosed without the permission of Calix. The purpose of this PowerPoint presentation is to provide information rather than advice or opinion. It is accurate to the best of the speaker's knowledge as of the date of the presentation. To the extent that this presentation contains any examples, please note they are for illustrative purposes only, and any similarity of actual individuals, entities, places, or situations is unintentional and purely coincidental. In addition, any examples are not intended to serve as legal notice. No part of this presentation may be modified, printed, or presented without the permission of Calix. Now, what we're going to look at first is we're going to look at the features that have been updated and what are new. Just kind of a list of them, and then we will look at them individually. First is going to be Point. With the Calix Pricer, we have created the ability of launching straight from the loan program button. On the closing disclosure, it's going to be excluding the recording fees from the total on the printing disclosure. Also on the closing disclosure, indicating fees 100% paid by lender. And secondary marketing, we have a pricing exception indicator. And then we've got a new HMDA reporting area within the HMDA screen. And then there's some other fixes and enhancements that we will discuss. Of course, you can see a complete list of the release notes at the Point version 9.5 release notes. PointCentral, being able to launch Pricer straight from the loan program button. This will be a PointCentral feature. And then we'll be discussing other fixes and enhancements along the way, and then see the complete PointCentral version 9.5 release notes for the complete details. The first one we are going to look at is the Loan Program button for Calix Pricer. It is available only for PointCentral users. The Loan Program button on the Borrower Information screen will launch the Calix Pricer interface, not the Loan Program List Selection dialog box. We will show an example of this here shortly. You will be able to launch Pricer from the local data folders, PointCentral data folders, and while working offline. Loan programs that are managed from the Template tab on the left navigation panel in Point are still available to view, create, edit, and delete, but they are not used if Calix Pricer is configured to launch from the Loan Program button. The following is required to launch the Calix Pricer from the Loan Program button. Number one, Calix Pricer must be enabled on the PointCentral administration site. And number two, users must be assigned a PointCentral template set. With that, you will be able just to go straight to the Loan Program button and click the Loan Program button, and it will launch the Calix Pricer site. So let's jump over to Point real quick. Let's look at this. From here, instead of having to go interfaces, product pricing, and then clicking Calix Pricer and telling OK, instead of doing that, you will just be able to click right here on Loan Program, and it will launch it straight to the Calix Pricer site. Go ahead and close that. Recording fee indicator. A new checkbox was added to Section E, which is the government taxes and recording fees, on the fees worksheet and the closing cost worksheet. It affects only the calculation on page 2 of the closing disclosure. does not have an effect on the loan estimate. Even though it's there on the loan estimate, it only affects the calculations on the closing disclosure page 2, but you can go ahead and put the information in correctly at the start, and then it will roll over to the closing disclosure from the start. When selected, the fee value is not included in the total mortgage or deed calculation in Section E on page 2 of the printed closing disclosure, but it will be included in the total. Here's what we're saying. Right here under Section E, you enter your mortgage fees. You have $250. You also have a $50 one. Under deed, you have a $100 one, and you have a $50 one. Those will show up as a deed as $150, a mortgage is $300, for a total of $450, which it took these two and added them together. It took these two and added them together. It's been requested that if you have documents that are not part of the deed and the mortgage, and you've put them in here, you don't want them showing. So we went in and now made it to where you can click here and say exclude from mortgage, exclude from deed, which means it will now print with deed as the $100, mortgage with the $250, but the total remains $450. Controls worksheet. Scroll down to E. Here's where we're talking. Right here in this section is where you can click to exclude. If I uncheck that one, I'm now going to have $350, and this one will be $100, but the total will still remain. I go to my print, closing disclosure page 2, do a print preview, zoom in. It shows the deed is $100. It shows the mortgage is $350. The total is $550 because I only excluded one of those. Put it back, and then it would show $250 and $100. Here, 100, 250. This still keeps the total. Lender paid fees. When 100% of a fee is paid by the lender, an L indicator is printed next to the fee in the paid by others column on page 2 of the closing disclosure. In other words, here's the fee distribution worksheet. You have it paid 50% by the borrower, 50% by the lender. It's 100% of it, but it's split up as 30, 62, 50, 30, 62, 50, 61, 25. It currently shows up as follows: 1.75% paid by others here. But if the lender is paying 100% of a fee, then we've been requested to show that the lender is paying 100% of that fee. So now, paid by others will have an L next to it. If it is 100% paid by lender fee, it will have an L next to it. Pricing exception indicator. We added a pricing exception granted checkbox. The purpose is for a user to indicate that the loan is approved with exceptions to the pricing engine values that were used to qualify the borrower. Pricing exception granted button. It's right here. Pricing exception, you bring the pricing in and you're doing an exception, then you can check this and it will give you a pricing exception granted. And of course, you can always go down here to the notes and type in the reason you did that pricing exception. HMDA reporting. We updated the menu label from HMDA reporting to HMDA. We added two sub-menu items, HMDA reporting 2017 and a HMDA reporting 2018. The screen was introduced for 2018 in this release in preparation to collect the data to the new 2018 requirement. Full functionality is not yet available. You can see the Point HMDA 2018 support rollout steps and timeline. Click in here for more information. This is what it would be. You would go to Track HMDA Reporting 2017. Track HMDA now instead of HMDA Reporting 2017, HMDA Reporting 2018. We added the final HMDA loan application register, or LAR, checkbox to indicate the HMDA values are final. So if you have entered all of your HMDA data, you can go in here and check final. That lets everybody know that you have entered it, and this is the final HMDA data so that it is ready for reporting. Track HMDA Reporting 2017. Right here is the final HMDA LAR button. Now, what I've done is with PointCentral, I've went in and added a rule. So with that rule, that when this gets clicked and they click Save, it will disable certain fields. As you can see, it disabled the lien status, the property type, the type of purchaser, action taken, whether it needs to be excluded, and so forth. And I even went on and added, disabled the note rate, the terms, and so forth. With PointCentral and the rules, you can add whichever fields you want to have it disabled if that box has been checked. Geocoding lookup button generates a table with matching subject property addresses. When selected, we'll import the county code, state code, census tract. The MSA MD code does not currently import, but they are working so that it will with one of the next releases. Now, of course, you can still use the existing website to enter the subject property and verify the imported values. So you can still go to the ffiec.gov site and verify the information is correct that was imported in, but you don't have to manually type the data in any longer. So here we are on the HMDA screen, HMDA Reporting 2017. We're into the 2017. Here's the geocode lookup button. All you have to do now is hit geocoding lookup. It goes and matches the address. There's more than one address. They will be listed here. Then you look at it, you say 12501 Fair Lane, that's the correct one. Go ahead and highlight it and then tell it to populate. It will populate the data back in for you. Now we have went ahead and added the legal entity identifier, which is a 20-character alphanumeric code used to identify companies, lenders, or entities that engage in financial transactions. With this, there is a check digit. The check digit is the last two digits of the Uniform Loan Identifier, which we have added as well. The Uniform Loan Identifier is an identifier for the loan transaction. It is a combination of the lender case number, the LEI number, and the check digit. All of those are configured together to make the ULI. You will see under the HMDA Reporting 2018 area that the lender case number gets populated automatically here. The legal entity identifier is input here. You can add this to your master templates so that it auto-populates that number. Then it will combine and it will take the LEI, put it at the first part. It will take the lender case number. It will convert any letters and make them alphanumeric. And then it adds two digits at the very end, and that will be the ULI. So we are already prepared for that with the 2018 screen and so forth. So that's all ready to go. Other point fixes. We have the APR has been updated. It no longer rounds to the third digit. The APR was rounding at the third decimal and has been updated to no rounding. The CFP rounding rule for closing disclosure is no rounding. Closing disclosure compliance for no rounding allowed. So the APR was updated so that it matches. Loan estimate printing negative days of interest. If you have somebody that's going to be doing a short pay and they want to go ahead and do negative days of interest, you can now put that on the LE and it will print. The tip percentage, whole numbers without decimals. In other words, if you have a whole number, it now truncates the decimal if it's a whole number. So if you have a 4.00, then it's just going to put the 4. Projected payments. On the MI cancellation, it does not trigger a new column unless there are fewer than 4 columns in the table. Loan program and pricer. Launching pricer from the loan program button. We went over the actual clicking the button and so forth, but to enable the Calix pricer checkbox, it must be selected in the PointCentral administration page. The point user must be assigned to a template set, which most are, but if not, for them to utilize the Calix pricer button, they will have to be assigned to a template set. Clicking the Loan Program button will launch Calix Pricer directly. The same as if you had went to the Interfaces, Product Pricing, Calix Pricer, Launch Pricer. This is where you would find it. And that's where the Loan Program button is. So within the PointCentral, you will find it listed right here. You would click Enable Calix Pricer to replace the Point Loan Program template and click Save. Once that's done, then all users that are assigned a template set will automatically be able to then go to the Point, click the Loan Program button, and automatically launch Pricer without having to go through the interfaces and launching it that way. Great little shortcut. Other PointCentral fixes and enhancements. We have updated the Calyx Resolver service with a new SSL wildcard certificate. The current certificate for the Calyx Resolver expires on April the 9th. If you are using the Calyx Resolver, you must update PointCentral by this date to ensure uninterrupted access to the PointCentral. If you have your own certificate, then that is not a requirement. But if you're using the Calyx Resolver, you must update by this date. So just do an update immediately upon release, and you will not have to worry about it. We updated the Microsoft .NET framework and moved it to version 4.6.1. We did this because Credco, if you're using Credco, they are moving everything they have at the end of the month to a new platform. For you to still be able to access Credco through the Point and PointCentral, we had to update the framework to match the system that they are going to have. So this was something that was needed so that you could continue working with Credco. We updated the rule designer for compatibility with most popular browsers and to remove the Ilmatic Silverlight requirement, which means you can now do your rules within PointCentral from any other browser and not have to have the Microsoft Silverlight. You can delete Silverlight from your computers now if you've been using that to configure your rules. And then last, we updated the credit manifest for Calyx mobile support. If you're using the Calyx mobile device and pulling up credit, we've updated the credit manifest so everything is the latest and greatest within the mobile app as well. Of course, our contact information, you can get a hold of support at 800-342-2599 or email to support@calyxsoftware.com. For sales in your account management team, you can call 1-800-362-2599 or email sales@calyxsoftware.com. Our website, which has invaluable information on it, is www.calyxsoftware.com. And then we have the social medias, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the social medias are there. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch our 9.5 release overview. I hope you learned a lot, and we will be talking with you soon.